Susan, new detail out this morning on The Voice. Indigenous leaders want 6 months to establish an advisory body after the referendum. How many on that body won't be worked out, though, until mid-next year, and the Voice to Parliament might not even be operational until after the next federal election, so there's definitely no rush there. Is that enough to get you on the Yes campaign?
Well, there's not enough detail, and the long stretched out timeline of consultation and wait and see and, 2 years' time is only underscoring the inability of Anthony Albanese to actually answer basic questions. Now, Peter Dutton has written with 15 questions. They're quite sensible questions, and they're the sorts of questions I get asked when I meet people around the country and they say, what's going on with The Voice? Who will be on this elected body? Will they be appointed? How will regional communities be represented? Will it deliver services? How will different points of view be reflected? Because all Indigenous communities don't think exactly the same about every single issue, and nor should they. So these are sensible questions. They haven't been answered. Now, Peter Dutton and Julian Lisa, our Indigenous Affairs shadow spokesperson, will attend the meetings that are happening, I think, tomorrow in good faith.
Right.
But that detail is detail we're asking for on behalf of everyday Australians who will vote in this referendum.
So do you think all of this detail needs to be worked out still before the referendum, or are you open to the answers to these questions being available or worked on after the referendum?
Enough detail has not been provided, and it's not good enough for Anthony Albanese to spend 3 days at the tennis. By the way, nothing wrong with going to the tennis, sucking down beers and eating ice creams. He failed the basic test of an issue that is at the heart of much of this: Voice, Indigenous Australians, violence in remote communities. The priorities were all wrong, and what that showed Australians is that he's not paying attention to the things that matter for our Indigenous communities: women's safety, children's safety, safety on the streets. As I've said, Pete, and many have observed to me, some of those tennis matches went for longer than the time he spent on the ground in Alice Springs, and he wasn't there to really see and understand the pain that community is experiencing.
Right, but back to the referendum, Amina, are you open to some of this detail being worked on after the referendum, or do you think that this all needs to be sorted out before Australians actually go to vote?
Peter Dutton and Julian Lisa will attend those briefings. I don't know what those briefings will contain, and nor do they, because they haven't happened yet, in good faith.
Right. But it seems like people should know this stuff before they go and vote, though, right?
Well, they're questions that ordinary Australians are asking us. I'm a parliamentarian, my colleagues are parliamentarians, everyone votes in the referendum. Our founding fathers, when it came to constitutional reform, said every Australian should have a say. This shouldn't be all about politicians. And it certainly shouldn't be about politicians saying, leave it to us and we'll decide later and give you the detail later.
All right,
so
Susan,
much more detail needs to be explained.
Sussan Ley, we're out of time. Appreciate your time, though. You've got to catch a flight, I know, so we'll chat to you again soon.
Thank you.